decades and beyond. Excuse me, choke. Choke.
I'm not going to do that. Let's see.
You've gone red.
Do you want me to do the hand? As soon as I got the camera there, she did that straight away.
Do you know, every time I think of the Heimlich maneuver, I think of Ozzy Osbourne. There's a funny story which I can't say.
Oh dear Lord. I love the fact that this is going to be what? Welcomed back to part 2, #3.
Part 2, take 9.
We're going to have to do that section again? Or
Yeah, you have to start from the beginning. I don't know whether it is, he was going purple.
Lizzie just said to me before, maybe you'll live to 2032. What's that? Is that like 8:30? 8:30 this evening.
The thing is, I was so close to, because you were starting to go red, I didn't say it, but I was so close to you being there like, oh, old man. Got his boss.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode 5 of The Big Onion, coming at you from the heart of the community, live on Lord Street. Yes, we have come to The Big Onion in Southport for this one. It's our first one here. You're going to find out about this exciting venue in a moment. It's all about people and place. I'll go through all the normal stuff in a minute, but please do contact us at radio@thebigonion.co.uk. I am Tim, Lizzie and Chris. How are you, Lizzie?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm excited to be in Southport. I got a lion this morning.
Yeah.
You've got a lion?
A lion. If only I had a lion, that'd be quite fun.
And Chris, happy World Ukulele Day. How are you?
It is World Ukulele Day, so my George Formby records will be out later on.
Brilliant. Oh, how fun.
Glad to hear. Also, National Lottery Community Fund. This is all down to them funded as well, Bill. Thank you, National Lottery.
Thank you.
The Community Fund.
Just been taken up air.
We're also being funded by the National Lottery Community Fund, making this happen. So as well as people and place, what about business, community, health, lifestyle, all the positive things that you want to hear. We're here to inform, but we're also here to have a good time and to tell you things that you don't always hear. There's a lot of negative stuff out there. This is positive news from the heart of the community. So we are here in, what's this little area called? Town Hall Gardens?
Town Hall Gardens,
yeah.
outside of the Atkinson. In literally, this is the heart of Southport. Yeah. So it's on Lord Street. And it's almost like a meeting place. I don't know whether that's what it used to, like, because it was up front of the town hall. I'm going back sort of, 100 years or whatever, but it's still kind of that meeting zone for people in Southport today.
Yeah, it's certainly a focal point, isn't it, in Southport?
Yeah.
And, historically, a space of some significance. And I think obviously in 2026, again, it's going to be the focal point of a series of events across the year. So
Lightport starts on the 14th of February.
It does.
So, and that's going to take up all of Lord Street, but it really will be focused around sort of this area.
Absolutely.
So family friendly, and something that's never happened before as well, which is really exciting. I think we haven't had something so big out of the season. We have our regular programme, and that takes up most of our August, June, July, August setup. But it's great to have something to look forward to around that.
And a free event for the family.
Free
as
event.
well.
So if you are sort of looking for a Valentine's sort of freebie, take somebody along to this.
Yeah,
I actually think that'd be
absolutely.
great. You'd be able to get a bit of dinner, come and see something really nice. What a cute little date night.
It's the weekend, isn't it, of the 14th, 15th and 16th.
It is.
And this is the focal point. It's going to be
Yeah.
right smack bang in the middle of it all.
Yeah.
And I was up here at Christmas as well. The Big Onion was open on Christmas, serving drinks. There was a nice little space here with Emmy from Arties and a few other, Pablo was here and a few others.
Yeah.
And it's a nice little space. I've actually sat here and had lunch in the nice weather.
nice.
There's the coffee shop outside the Atkinson, you can sit out. You've got the town hall there, Lord Street behind us. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful space that wasn't being used until the Big Onion got involved. and we'll get into that in a minute. So we've got Wayfarers Arcade over the road, and I always like it as well when there's traffic going past in the background. So, Carl, are you picking that up nicely? We've got Dan over there. Dan was here at what time this morning, Dan? 6 a.m.
Late, I think you'll find. Late.
all these millennials.
Hasn't even brushed his hair.
Are you a millennial, Dan, or Generation Z? Or?
I don't know, I was born in 2004. So
Is that Generation
that's just
I
young,
think,
isn't
I
it?
think it's just millennial.
Yeah.
Just millennial.
I don't really care about it.
No, you're definitely not a millennial. I've hung out with you enough.
So don't forget, folks, we want you to come on, tell us your good stories, we want you to be involved. It is radio@thebigonion.co.uk. Please like and subscribe. We're on Spotify and YouTube. I have been listening to the podcasts, I've also been watching them. I know Carl gets a bit, oh, that could be a little bit better, but I think they're fantastic quality. Please share with people, tell other people about it, and tell other people who might want to come on as well.
Just check that email, Tim. radio@thebigonion.co.uk.
Did I say that? I'm sorry.
.com.
radio@thebigonion.co.uk.
That's the one.
I'm glad I made that mistake deliberately, because it means that we go back to address it to make sure people know. So yeah, please get involved. So we've got so much going on today, and we're going to talk about a few other bits and bobs. But Lizzie, come to you first. How is your fantastic space, Studio 9, doing? And tell us about the Southport Journal.
Yeah, so Studio 9 has grown. So Studio 9 is a community. It is more than just the space now. We have space that people can use for lots of different things. We've had photographers in there doing photo shoots, all the way through to people just wanting a quiet space to work, which is great. But for me, Studio 9 is more of the fact that you get to work with us and be involved in the wider picture. So we have everything now from we can work with you for your social media, building your confidence. And I think that's the main thing that I wanted to sort of bring up, is that we can work with you on lots of different levels, but we want you to take away skills. You know, in order to get better, especially when it comes to social media, you need to be confident, you need to know what your message is, what are you wanting to portray, and that's what I really like to do with people. I like to unpick what their story is, because that's my main thread all the way through. If you work with us with the magazine, if you write for the magazine, if we write about you, it's all about getting to know your story, who you are, and that's what I love. So yeah, we've got the Christmas one here. We had a pause in January for the magazine, which was necessary. I think everything we've talked about on here around sort of burnout, finding your own way, understanding how you work as an individual, putting in those boundaries. And I thought, well, this is my business. I get to decide when things work, when they don't work, when I need to pause. So for me, January was really necessary. And because we have a lot of writers that write for us, it's also really necessary for them as well. So February's edition is brilliant. I'm going to big up some of the writers that we've got. We've got Claire Mills, who is showcasing what interiors you can have for February. It's got a really romantic-esque feel to it, which is great. Yeah.
We're past that. Absolutely.
But what I love about her is that she is, one, it's aesthetically pleasing when you open it up as a page, but you can buy everything locally. She sources everything from sort of that Sefton area and where you can go to actually pick up these things, which is brilliant, which I love. And then we've also got some really lovely articles. So it is, I have set it around that sort of Valentine's theme. However, there is something for everyone. Ones that really love Valentine's and that romance, ones that can't stand it, ones that are single, because I've been there. Valentine's Day for people that are single is dreary. So it's all about sort of reconnecting with yourself. Where can you go for your own kind of date night, I suppose, or date day? So finding really nice coffee shops, restaurants that are uniquely supportive of the one, I think, as well as sort of having it with friends and stuff like that. So it's all about growing within yourself. I think this month that's the main theme, finding what you like and where you fit in your current sort of state, single or not.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It divides opinion, Valentine's Day.
It does.
Because Valentine's Day, because even couples sometimes say, oh, we don't really celebrate it that much, but you know, everyone's different. But details of Studio 9 and the Southport Journey will be in the notes, as well as Carl behind the camera, EFC drone footage. But this is very much a big onion space, and at Christmas it was so good here. We had loads of events going on outside. It's a nice little area, this, for activity. There's also a memorial being built just down the way, isn't it?
Yeah, so the Town Hall Gardens, they are in, I believe at this point, discussions. You know, the money has been secured. But as of yet, there's been some plan that has been put online, but I don't know how far along they are, so I'm not going to put words out there when I don't know the answer. But yeah, where we are, this space is very much going to be developed into sort of gardens to remember the incidents and the girls that died. So I think it's a really lovely space for it to be in that focal point of the town. And yeah, I do look forward to seeing where they go with it and how it's created.
I think what obviously the impact of that tragedy. Well, it's just sent shockwaves throughout the community, and the support that the town has shown to the families who've been affected by that. I think we've got to say the council. I know the colleagues that I've spoken to have been heavily involved in, as a lot of other agencies have as well, supporting people who've been affected. It's not just 3 families of the girls who sadly died, but of the other children who were impacted and their families on the day. It's not something I think that anybody could ever imagine would happen.
No.
And I think what is fantastic is what's come out of it. There's a real community here in Southport, and people, the agencies and organisations certainly have come together. They've not rushed into anything. They've taken time to talk and consult and make sure that the family's wishes are listened to. And I think we're going to see this space really transform over the next 12 months or so. It's going to be a very difficult period, but also hopefully there's some positives that come out from the tragedy.
Yeah, I think that's why I believe the space may have come up in those early discussions as that place, because when the tragedy did happen, this is where we all came. In those times, you almost felt like you needed to connect and showcase your grief, or also almost process it. I think for a lot of people that weren't involved, it felt very surreal. So wanting to show your support of sort of, we are here collectively. So the meeting where people came and laid flowers and there was talks and stuff, really was a beautiful sort of eerie, but a beautiful way to showcase that we care.
Huge amount of sensitivity, and I think everybody involved, there's a plan, right? But it's making sure that they step forward. I think people are taking their time to make sure that it is something which is going to remember the girls and the tragedy, but also as well some positivity comes out of it. So there's an awful lot of thinking that's gone in, and I know continues to go in. So what happens down the line, we'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait.
I think lessons need to be learned as well in the build-up to what happened, in terms of, there was rioting, there was a lot of disinformation, but I think the way that the town came together after that, a big part of what we're about is community cohesion, reaching out. And I was fortunate enough to go to the mosque open day, which was attacked, and we had people from the local synagogue, local churches, a lot of political and community leaders all there, and it was a wonderful day just to show that kind of togetherness about moving forward after these tragedies and difficult events. But
I think the spotlight was very much in the national media on, but then you have to think, when those cameras go away, this is our town. These are our colleagues and friends and so on, and how the town has reacted. I think
the clean-up as well.
It's shown.
Was huge, wasn't it?
I think it's just shown all the good for a lot of the good that folk in this town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just as well as that, there's been news recently about Bootle that Sefton Council are going for the Town of Culture for 2023 for Bootle.
Right.
So they're looking to secure £3 million to spend across 6 months in creative projects. And we're going to have Karen Yates and Salt and Tar on in a couple of weeks to talk about that.
Yeah.
Salt and Tar is the big venue where we have Tom Jones and all the big acts.
Sugar Babes and
Sugar
Billy
Babes,
Ocean.
yeah. Billy Ocean.
Status Quo.
Status Quo.
I was rocking all over the world that night.
I was going to say, I didn't think you would be a Sugar Babes fan, so...
I was on holiday, thankfully, for that one. I was on holiday.
Just want to say as well, I was talking to Carl on the way up here and we were talking about like Southport, Bootle, the two kind of north-south points of Sefton, but also McGull, Formby, all points in between, people from those areas who want to come on to talk about things across Sefton and beyond. You know, we want to welcome those people to come on as well.
I think it's all about unmasking the good that's happening, because there's so much positivity in people that are working either for charities or are doing things just off their own back because they've seen a gap and they want to support it or they want to fill it, or they're doing something that they actually feel incredibly passionate about. So, you know, like you say, we're in Southport, we record in Bootle, but there is so many stories to be uncovered in between. So
bit of a shout out there.
Yeah.
Bit of a shout out. Anybody's got a venue in McGull or Aintree or Formby or Birkdale, I dare say. We're a peripatetic radio station.
Let's go on the road.
Let's go on the road. Big Onion Radio on tour.
Yeah, I think that would be brilliant.
We won't need our passports.
No, no, very true. However, I am willing to go abroad.
Yeah. If there's somebody from Bootle living in Kazakhstan at the minute, we'll go there to film.
The other thing I think is important is there's so much good stuff out there that you don't always know about, even down the street in your own town. And you've seen a decline of local newspapers because of for commercial reasons. And we do need to make sure that these good stories and these good services are shared. And we're going to go into a couple of those later.
Yeah.
But Chris, tell us about this space, the Big Onion in Southport. It's based in Bootle originally, moving on to Prescott outside Sefton, but now in Southport. Tell us about that.
Well, it sort of wasn't in the plan, Tim.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the plan as most things aren't. So Big Onion in Southport came about because this lovely facility found itself not in use, and we didn't want to see it sort of, start getting smashed up by a bit of vandalism, as was beginning to happen.
Yeah.
We had some broken window panes, and we had the door broken into and what have you. So I approached the council and said, look, can we have a conversation? And I put a plan in, and I suppose what Merseyside Expanding Horizons and the Big Onion are all about really is providing some space where people can connect and to each other, to information, to opportunity, but also work with others to improve their levels of confidence, resilience, and their their financial and social independence. As you know, we run the Business Startup Programme for the council across the borough of Sefton, ourselves and our good friends at Safe Regeneration. And there was an opportunity. I suppose one of the problems that startup businesses always find is, there are a lot.
Was that like,
right?
there was a few on my list?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think, access to work, getting sort of, finding clients and generating some income and whatnot, but a biggie, finding somewhere to do it from.
Yeah.
Big Onion in Bootle provides that space for a lot of startup businesses. In Southport we didn't have that. As part of the contract through the Business Startup Programme, we found there's a lot of social businesses, lots of social enterprises who are really struggling up here to find accessible and affordable space. And so the pitch I did to the council, our friends at Sefton Council, was very much that it would be a space that could be used by a real cross-section of social enterprises and community organisations, for example, to paint on Lord Street, learn on Lord Street, do baby massage on Lord Street, get families involved. We've had youth groups in here, we've had veterans groups, a real cross-section. So that's the goal really. We don't know how long we're going to be in here for, because this as the other pavilion is as well, is subject to potentially being demolished as part of the refurbishment, regeneration of the space. But we think we're going to be here till the other end of the summer, I say, doing those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And it's great as well, we've got banners up from Freedom to Flourish, Claire, we're a great organisation. We've also got ME's RC, CIC banner. We're hoping to get those on in the near future to talk about what they offer. But it is a great space. It's great to see it used as part of some of the community events. We've got local social enterprises coming in and using the space.
We actually had on, we actually had on Thursday night our first Twilight Business Club.
Yeah.
There are about 20 business owners here, startups here, again, just networking, doing some presentations and so on.
Yeah. And also, the Big Onion had a special mention this week. Last week in the Houses of Parliament. Patrick Hurley asked a question of the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, Pat McFadden.
He did.
How did you feel when you saw that?
Well, the MP's been really supportive when we had the opening night here back in October, which was absolutely rammed.
It really was busy.
We were like sardines. We were like sardines here. Patrick came to the event, and we've had a series of conversations with him, both up in Southport and in Bootle, about, in particular, some of the employment programmes like Launchpad and Youth Hub and stuff like that, targeting young people. Totally unexpectedly, somebody sent me a YouTube clipping and said, "You've been mentioned in Parliament." We were like, so I don't know how it came about. I've not spoken to him since. We are in the process of writing to him this week to see, actually, as a follow-up to it, can we get the Minister to come and actually see the work that Big Onion and MEH are doing, and us and all the gang are doing here. So yeah, it was very much, he asked a question about the Big Onion and the work with young people and the impact it was having. And the Secretary of State commented saying he knew the Big Onion and that we were doing some great work with his staff within the DWP. So yeah, we were delighted, totally unexpected,
brilliant.
So nice to get recognised.
Yeah.
We had Brian on a couple of episodes ago talking about Launchpad, the new initiative, and the first session was in here. I was here with Lizzie, went really well. Then we did one in Bootle. We're now approaching our 4th week of activities of the 11-week programme. There's lots of people getting involved. It is very innovative and seeing how things work and, you know, getting feedback from sessions. But it really is good to see something like that happening that's proactive.
I think what Trailblazer, or how we've looked at Trailblazer, and in particular Brian and the team, it's very much what we call a test and learn. You know, that we've got a stubborn underbelly now of young people in particular who just seem so far away from the employment market, and clearly some of the traditional approaches aren't working. They're not working. So what we've done, and we've co-designed it with all our colleagues in the Sefton Business Club network as well, is to try to encourage these young people by giving them access to the likes of Emmy and Claire and Ben and yourself, and I'd say, look, this is me, this is my school experience, this is what I did after it, this is what I'm doing now, and showing them the route way to that. So it's a really creative scheme, and it's proven to have some good outputs already.
Yeah, brilliant.
It's very exciting. You're involved in that.
Yeah. I think it's really good for them to have different experiences. I think it's just, that in a nutshell. Our education system, rightly or wrongly, is very prescriptive. It's very, this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do. And then you should have a really lovely outcome because you've done out all of it right. But, when you do, we're all about diversity. All of us have got completely different businesses, completely different skills, and we utilise them in that sort of to make business work.
And we come from different backgrounds
as well. So it really is showcasing sort of, just different ways of working.
Well, look, we've got hard and fast statistics about, when the education system works for you, fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant.
There's a ladder there that you can sort of climb up And if it works for you, brilliant.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, for so many and an increasing number, it's not working.
No.
So, and it's not just us. There are a range of organisations, not just across Sefton, but across the city region and beyond, that are aware of this. And obviously, we know local, regional, and national government are aware of this as well. So it's about trying to work creatively to make sure that more and more of our young people get an opportunity. Because I'm firmly of the belief there's something for everybody, genuinely.
100%. And I think, the way I've looked at how difficult it must be for that section of our sort of that generation that are going into all of that, because we went through that schooling system going into a world of work that was fairly straightforward. If you chose a career, more than likely, once you've done that degree, you're going to get a job in that career. Even now, if you choose a set career, there is no guarantee that 5 years into that job, AI won't take it from you. And you've done everything right. And actually, no, there's now a more efficient way out there that this company is going to use. So you've, more than anything now, through education, you've got to be willing to be innovative, creative, and you've got to be able to bend in terms of going, okay, that's not working, I need to go this way. And that's one thing that I think a lot of young people are struggling with, because they're not being given that opportunity.
You've only got to look in Southport, haven't you, right? The numbers of the 18 to 25-year-old population are leaving
Yeah.
right? We've got statistics that over the last 30 years, the percentage of that age cohort, I think it's gone down by about 22-23%, because those jobs, those careers aren't here, so people are moving outside the town to different parts of the city region, but beyond as well, to pursue that. So I know there's been a lot of response to that. I know the council have set up the Enterprise Arcade, and there's a lot of work around digital and creative, and they're involving schools and colleges and people in the Enterprise Arcade. People like Sarah Jackson from Hatters. Doing some creative stuff to try to stimulate and grow, like we have at the Big Onion here, to try to encourage entrepreneurialism in whatever form that takes. So there's a lot of stuff going on, but I think the creativity, we're creative heavy with this employment program now, because I think there's that need. And if you're leaving school at 16, 18 years of old, and you find yourself out of the loop for 2, 3, 4 years, that is massive. That's a significant. And plus, that cohort of young people, they're the COVID kids as well. So they've had a double whammy. So they're totally removed from the labour market, totally removed from even just socialising.
They had a huge chunk of that taken away from them. So
Right, we'll just do a short break and then we'll come back to Do you want to do a 3, 2, 1 with the count's voice at the end, the councillor?
No. No.
Come on.
Sesame Street for you all. Remember the count.
3, 2, 1, we'll be back in a moment.
song is called Live the Dream, and we'll be living the dream, and I want you to live your dream too, everyone, you know, man, no matter where you are.
Hi everyone, welcome back to part 2. I'm going to talk about the high street now. I know we're on a high street, but we're going to talk about the high street more generically. There's been lots of change over the last couple of decades. Chris, what's your spin on the high street at the moment?
I suppose just some thoughts, Tim, if I'm being honest. You know, it's something, whilst I'm not a shopper, okay, by any stretch of the imagination, I am fascinated by the rhythm of the high street, and, you know, we know over the last 20 plus years that it's gone through a tough old period. I think everybody has blamed the internet, but I think it's a bit more complex than that. Yes, you know, a lot of people are going online and shopping online, but I think there are other problems. Property prices being one, you know, whether you're buying or you're looking to lease, property values are really, really high. You know, we've got high utilities and high sort of overheads as well. And it's seen, I just think a bit of a domino effect throughout our communities. There's some beams of light. There are some, you know, some shards of light here and there that hopefully, you know, organisations like ours and others are looking towards. I know there's been a lot of thinking done in central government, and I know previously we had the High Street Task Force, and Southport has benefited from money from central government to help regenerate. We mentioned the Enterprise Arcade before, some of the transport links and communal areas, and obviously you know there's a lot of money going into the MLEC centre as well on the front, and there's been an announcement on that just last week as well. But I think, you know, high streets are really, really struggling, and I think we've got to change the thinking. I think we've got to start to change the thinking. That's what we're trying to do. You know, local businesses, local people have been priced out of the high street. So what we're trying to do, obviously, in Bootle and in Prescott and a little bit here, is trying to bring local businesses back onto the high street. But I think there's got to be some fundamental changes. I wanted to touch on it today because there's all this talk now about business rates as well, and under the recent budget, there's real concerns about our food and beverage businesses who are going to see massive increases, along with a number of other businesses who are seeing their premises re-rated, revalued, and as a consequence of that, those revaluations will mean probably higher business rates. So yeah, I think it's a real time to stop and to pause and to think about what we're going to do, because whilst there is some shards of light, I'm really concerned about what's going to happen down the line as costs just seem to continue to pile on.
You did pull back a little bit with business rates on pubs because of some protests, but it is going to be an ongoing problem, this, about what different places do to revitalise town centres. I mean, I was up in a very affluent little village in Scotland recently, and there's literally no shops in the village. I think there was one pub, one coffee shop, and that was it. You have to go to other villages because the rent or whatever is just too high in those places.
You think in the city region, in the Liverpool city region, we've got lots of concentrations of shops. So obviously, we've got Liverpool city centre, but you come out just a few miles and you've got stuff on Edge Lane, you've got stuff in Speak, you come out this way, you've got Aintree, right? You've got Southport, which is a big sort of retail area, and it's split out really. If you think about Southport, it's almost in like 3 bits almost, isn't it, right? And you've got a lot of commercial space, and I know a lot of that commercial space is empty at the minute, and you start to see then, you know, we're on Lord Street, which is a phenomenal street, and sadly we've got a lot of voids here. Now, I know in speaking to a number of the agencies, including the council, that there are plans again to try to do something with that, but you know, if you've got 20-25 years of decay, it's going to take a Herculean effort to try to, you know, do something which is going to make a significant change.
Yeah, and I think it's about, touching on what you said before, about rethinking. Some of the ones, I can only speak about Southport specifically, because this is what I see day to day, but businesses that have taken not a risk, they've researched the market. So I'm talking about, there's a place called Wine and Words, which is now on Lord Street. They have in my opinion, been incredibly innovative in the way they've rethought that structure. On the surface of it, it's a coffee shop during the day, merging into wine in the evening. Yeah. Well, it's a cafe come sort of winery. No. They have got above and beyond that, and they've got, you know, regular people that go in, you know, book clubs, you know, writers' corners, being able to speak. They've reinvented and put it all into one really nicely designed space.
You're absolutely right. I think your businesses like that, and there are examples of that across not just this borough, but the wider city region, you know. But people are being really creative, and I think our sector, you know, the voluntary and community sector, have got a big role to play in it. Working with businesses like yours as well as to what we can do. And
what can we do?
You know, we're sitting in an example now. This would have laid empty, and it would have been vandalised, right? And then we'd have had another problem. Okay, it would have been, you know, people hanging around, street drinking, which we know is a real issue here, and you see it from time to time. Since we've got the lights back on in here, we've not seen that here. We've not seen some of the windows being broken, which were broken when this was empty. So yeah, I think there's a lot of work to do to try to reimagine our high streets. And you know, I encourage people to come and have a look at what we've done in Bootle Strand with the Big Onion. You know, it's very innovative, and there are lots of examples of that as well. You know, there are others doing stuff which are equally creative, bringing artists onto the street, bringing writers onto the street. So, you know, I urge the powers that be at sort of local, regional and national government to talk to people like us who are living it day after day on the high street and see what the problems are.
And I think that's vital, isn't it? It's knowing where the gaps are, but also not replicating, because if you also look around, there are a lot of groups that have just decided that actually they want the place to look nicer. So out here, these guys that keep this space tidy, they're award winning. They're I think it's Lord Street in Bloom. They do the flowers, they make sure that all of the beds are filled. You know, they do this space and two other spaces further down. And they've decided they want the space to be nicer, so we've come together as a group.
We've seen volunteers today, Lizzie, haven't we? There were probably 15 or so volunteers, litter picking, doing the flower beds and stuff like that. You know, and it can't just rest on the council, in fairness. You know, they get the blame for everything. And it's not their, you know, sole responsibility. We talk about community again in Southport and beyond. We've all got a responsibility. We all want to live in better neighbourhoods. And so, you know, our high street is a big part of that neighbourhood. So we've got to do some rethinking, I think.
Absolutely. I think some of the shopping centres as well, I was reading about around the country, some of them are, you know, huge areas. Some of them are having gyms and bowling alleys put in with the traditional shops. We've got the Strand, which is being redeveloped at the moment. So very much watch this space. But one thing for certain, when you've got shops empty, nothing's happening. No business rates are coming in empty shops, and that's a problem, isn't it? But I want to say one other thing about particular spaces, and it's about warm spaces as well. And if you go on the Sefton Council website, you'll see warm spaces around Sefton to help you through the colder months. And I want a big shout out to the Inclusion Network, CIC and Bootle, to Jade and the crew there who have done some work with in the past. They have a warm space on Mondays. They do great food, great people, and they do some activities, and it is a good way for people maybe who are a little bit older, a bit more isolated, lonely, people who are struggling to mix with others. You can get into these warm spaces, have a cup of tea, a cup of coffee and some food, and stay warm through the colder months. But all the details of that are on the Sefton Council website if you put warm spaces in. Very important. I've also like the Big Onion, loads of people go into the Big Onion, the coffee shop.
It's
get
really
warm in there, don't they?
Well, I think it all pushes in on, you know, I think I talk to the Strand management quite regularly there. I think there's about 350,000 visits to the Strand, not different people, but 350,000 visits, you know, each month coming in to the Strand. A lot of those obviously come in every day, several times, but yeah, they're coming to meet people. They're coming to, you know, have a cup of tea with, and what we've tried to do is encourage people to come into us. And there's friendships, you know, formed. There's opportunities for them to get involved in different things. And yeah, you know, it's important to go back to, it's not the be all and end all of our neighbourhoods and communities, but the high street is very, very important. And I think, you know, to be a little bit more creative, like you mentioned the guys just down the way have seen it, and like some of the things that are going on, Wayfarers Arcade, you know, the stuff, you've got the Enterprise Arcade up the way there.
The market has a huge array of different activities going in over the month.
Yeah.
So it's checking out those different things, and I suppose mainly the main thing that is maybe a huge factor in the fact that the high street and stuff isn't picking up is the fact that a lot of the communication, like the newspapers and stuff, have declined. So people aren't getting that information. You've got to go to each individual website to see what's on. So, you know, if you are listening to this at the minute, we had people on in, was it last week before, talking about social prescribing. So if you are completely lost as to where to go back and watch that episode, because that will really give you a bit of an insight into what they do and almost help you take that first step out of the door. Yeah,
Living Well Sefton were brilliant when they came on, and again their details will be in the notes for episode 4. Now I just want to come to something slightly different, which is like setting boundaries and journal, and I'm going to talk about journal, also the 24-48 hour. We know that in business and enterprise and in life generally, sometimes you can have something that doesn't go well, or something just doesn't happen that you were hoping that would happen, or you have a falling out with someone or whatever. And the importance of just giving it 24-48 hours just to calm down and let it settle. And I find it helpful to journal about my days, like what went well that day, what didn't go well, how could I do it a little bit differently. And I think in business, enterprise, and just in life generally, I think it's good if you can not have those negative reactions to something that doesn't necessarily go your way. Because I think we were discussing the other week, when something good happens, you go, oh, that's great, move on, and then something good might happen, and then maybe there's a little bit of a setback. But it's about being able to deal with them and not taking them too personally. Have you got any thoughts on that?
Loads.
Also, setting boundaries. If you've got anything on setting boundaries, whether it's in business, we were talking the other day, like maybe not checking your work email over the weekend, that kind of stuff, but also setting boundaries with other people in your personal life as well. Go on, Lizzie.
Oh no, I think it opens an array, and sometimes you know, you've got to be careful a little bit with me on topics like this, because it's like opening Pandora's box. I read loads of things around this, and you know, working with people regularly, I would say that this is the part that they struggle with, and I struggle with the most. And I do wonder sometimes how much of it comes down to personality type. I know that you can implement different things, and you can learn like a toolbox of things and pull them out at different times. I know all of the sort of the psychology around that. But for me, in terms of when you're saying about 2 days, my brain would be analysing that for 2 days, and I would have had about 10 different arguments in my head. And sometimes I think, like you said, journaling, if that's your way, writing it down, I think that's a good way of getting it out your head. I think I'm a big person that lives in my head. I think big, I act like all my emotions are big, which is great for me, but not so great for other people. And for me, one of the big things, and some people may have quite strong opinions about this, about feeding the AI system, speak to ChatGPT. Put that voice note on, get that conversation out of your head into ChatGPT, and literally just see what advice it comes up with. You can give it parameters, make sure that you're not feeding the whole system, you've had your privacy settings turned off, and that is so interesting as to what it can come back with. And sometimes it may be that actually that thing that annoyed you, that colleague that said something, or an email that you read, you've misinterpreted from the beginning because you've read it wrong, or they've written it in a slightly more harsh tone than what you were expecting. And by actually asking it to analyse, can you analyse this? What might this person have been thinking? It gives you a different perspective. So that would be very divisive to some people. It's AI taking over or not. But sometimes it has given me some very good advice.
Yeah. Well, there's AI apps where if you've had a bad day, you can tell the AI, and the AI will give you like, you know, once they get to know you, they can apparently say, listen, you know, maybe you're taking that the wrong way, or if you thought about this or if you thought about that. Basically, wisdom is when you can do that in your own head yourself. I'm not quite there yet. I'm not there yet.
I clearly have none.
If you write it down, you can get it out of your head and write it down. So I write, what was good, what didn't go so well, what could I do differently? AI can help you with that. People pay to see counsellors to help them to process things. But I think the key thing about the 24 or even the 48-hour rule is it's about saying, if someone says something to you, it's about you not snapping back and making it worse.
Yeah.
Thinking about what you're going to do, maybe processing it, which might be tougher for some than others, because I know some people, it can really wind them up. Others, I've seen people who just can let something go and then come back to it at the right time when they're calm, and that is a real gift, particularly in business and stuff like that.
And I just want to put on a caveat about the sort of ChatGPT. If it is a serious issue and you feel that you need support, please seek the right areas. I'm talking about sort of the very low level sort of things that irritate you, like the stone in the shoe style scenario, not your bigger sort of, you know, life-changing, altering moments. Please seek the correct people for that.
For me, I certainly, you know, I was showing everybody in the break my my newly acquired bus pass, my local concessions bus pass. I suppose as you get older, you discover more about yourself and you get to know yourself better. You know, I openly admit when I was probably in my late teens, early 20s, I was young and stupid. Some would say I'm just old and stupid.
And some of us would just think you're old.
Just old. But I can get on the train for free.
I know, I'm so jealous.
Which is great.
So jealous.
Which is great. Thanks, Mr. Rotherham. No, you know, I as I get older, I spend more time reflecting, right? And I've probably said this before. Yeah, I think that emotional intelligence isn't a real thing. And we're all very different, aren't we? And I think, you know, I'm not going to scoff about the ChatGPT thing at all. You know, we were only having a chat last week, totally different context, about AI, right? And I think it can offer part of the solution, as you just rightly said there, Lizzie, right? You know, it's another reference point. Blokes, you know, are rubbish at talking about issues, and, you know, are reactionary, I think. You know, as a young person, if someone said something out of turn to me, my reaction perhaps, well, it's certainly different to what my reaction is now. Now, I let things go. Things, you know, certain things in my life are important. There's a lot which isn't. And so I'm able to let those things go, but I wasn't able to do that when I was younger, right? And I think
wisdom, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's, well, I don't know about that. But I think it's learning about who you are, right? And, you know, when I get up in the morning, which is a bonus again with the bus pass, right? You know, I've got a bit of a plan, and the day goes in certain directions. Do we always achieve everything in our day? No, right? There's always things perhaps, you know, we go to bed thinking about. I live my life in my head as well.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm a terrible sleeper, I wake up, there's things buzzing around my head. I wish someone could switch those noises off sometimes. But, you know, I think you are who you are. Reach out to people if you're struggling. You know, I met a wonderful woman the other week, Debbie from Sean's Place, right? Which is an organisation, Bootle, working with men who are struggling with mental health and suicidal thoughts and things like that. You know, and they say the volumes of people coming through the doors, you know, I think you girls are much better at talking and expressing your feelings. I come from an age, you know, if I ever asked my dad how he was, you know, he might have just lost a leg or something and he'd be fine, right? You know, we just can't, I think we're evolving, we're getting better about it. I think there's certain music stars and film stars and sports stars who are actively coming out now. And I think that's good as well, the stigma attached to talking and reacting to things. I think it's much more in the public eye now.
Yeah, because I know that you do yoga in the morning. Like I've noticed there's a lot more male classes for breath work and additional within that sort of sphere, so yoga and breath work or Pilates and this, and they're very male centric. That's what what they've been built for. As you said, women, we've got a lot of that already built in. We know where to find those things. There's a place in Birkdale called Cove, and they did men's breath work. excuse me, and there are loads of other places in Southport and the surrounding areas that do these things as well as doing sort of, we've got the Man Shed here as well, which I do think is nationwide. So I know that there's the Man Shed, as well as in, I'm just trying to remember, I think it's in Southport, sort of the community centre. There is a men's group that they go and they make things, so they garden Emmy
does work there,
yeah. So it's the practicality that, you know, once your hands are busy, your brain is almost not thinking. It's like when you walk with someone, it's easier to have a conversation because you're not looking at them directly in the eye. And sometimes, even for a lot of women, I find sometimes giving you eye contact while telling you how I feel is a lot more personal. Yeah. It feels a lot more sort of, oh, this person can see into my soul. And you do have to be vulnerable. You do still have to be willing to bear all, because otherwise people don't know that you need help.
You know, on the weekend, and I'm not a runner, but, you know, every weekend, these park runs, I just think they're unbelievable. I'm not a fan of running at all, for very obvious reasons. But there's such a sense of community there. And I think we all need that bit of community, don't we? Right? You know, we just look at our network. You know, I've made friends over these last couple of years with people like you and others in the group. We all need to congregate around. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of lonely people out there, and I certainly encourage people, you know, to make that step outside your comfort zone. Which I know is hard for some, but there's so much, you know, great stuff that's going on that you can plug into.
Well, that's it. And there is a statistic out there, and I'm not going to say the percentage because I'm not 100% sure, but that not having a friendship group, a close friendship group for women, has as much of a negative impact on our body as smoking. Wow. So if we're not regularly connecting, you know, so I do encourage men that are listening, if you've got a wife at home or friends that you know of, you know, do offer them, you know, can I take the kids for an hour? You go somewhere, go and chat to your friend, or, you know, just encourage them to have those opportunities in their week, their month, to be able to actually express how they feel to another female, because it is vital. I'm sure there is probably a very similar statistic for men. I just happen to hear it from women.
You just touched on something there. I'm out tomorrow evening with a group of friends, right? And we became friends because of our children. And we had this conversation probably 2 or 3 years ago. It just came up, something must have happened, and it just came up over a pint in the pub, 5 of us. And one of the guys spoke up and said, I've had those, and this is a real focal point in my month, because we go out once a month, right? He says, I really look forward to connecting to, because he works from home, right? He doesn't go into the office, everything's done through a lens and stuff like that, and he doesn't see. And do you know, it really, because I thought I knew him really well. Yeah. And I went, wow, it makes you...
Yeah, it's a real powerful tool. So when you were saying about journaling, I don't do journaling writing way, because for a living I write. So I feel like I'm constantly writing and processing. Obviously I filter it depending on what I'm writing. So some pieces I get to write from a really personal perspective, and other have to be based on facts and other people's stories. So my way of journaling is I have just the style of calendars that you have on your wall with a photo and then the dates underneath it. But I get them... either I buy them or I print them on like drawing paper. So throughout that month, I colour in on the days where I've met up with a friend, or I've gone out for a dinner, or I've done something that was purely for me. So by the end of that month, the end of that year, I can flick through and I can see which months then maybe actually work got a little bit too much, you know, and so the next year I can counteract that. And for me, that's a really expressive way. It's colourful, no one's looking at it, it's certainly not beautiful, but it's a nice way to look back at the end of the month and go, oh, I did that, and I went to that bookshop actually and had an hour to myself, or, you know, went to a nice little coffee shop. And the big, you know, the big things away, like when you go on holiday and stuff like that. It's nice to be able to remember them, because my diary normally is just meeting, work appointment, pick up so-and-so. You know, it is nicer to then have something that reflects your life.
It's interesting as well, because we'll move on in a second. We'll do boundaries separately because I think we've covered a lot there. But I did a course on wellbeing a few years ago, and it said the key thing is developing good relationships with family and friends. And it said new experiences and being in nature was so important.
Yeah.
And it's that connection. And it's not money either. People think, oh, I have money. Like, money can be okay and it can help with those things, but in itself it doesn't mean a thing. And it's about that connection, finding that purpose and meaning in your day-to-day living. And it can be as much as me just doing 5 minutes yoga this morning, knowing that we were coming here and, you know, meeting you. We've had a laugh today, haven't we?
Oh yeah, definitely.
We'll have a short break and we'll come back just to do our normal things and just to finish off. So back after these short messages.
Don't ask me why. It's all that feeling that just blows my mind. We're gonna make you rock. Gonna take you to the EP5.
Hi everyone, part 3 of this exciting episode on Lord Street. We've never quite got the weather today,
But we're live on Lord Street.
We are live on Lord Street.
These are cars, these are people walking by.
That's the real world right there, folks. Right, we're just going to finish with our, our 2 regular features that we like doing. First one is famous Seftonians. Okay, and the first one, it's from Bootle. I didn't know this, is comedian Tom O'Connor.
Tom O'Connor, I knew he was from Bootle.
He was 80, I think, wasn't he, recently? Or was it
I was going to say, I don't know who Tom O'Connor is.
Yeah,
Do I need to go away and research
He
this?
used to do quiz shows, didn't he?
And he was made famous again in that episode of Phoenix Nights as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, there you go. Tom O'Connor. And also, this is someone I didn't know by name, but she had an impact on me, and it's Janice Long, who was a pioneering radio DJ on Radio 1. She was the first female who had her own show on Radio 1. She was a host on Top of the Pops. I think, again, she was the first female presenter. And also, she had a regular feature on BBC Radio 6, the alternative one. And she set up Crash FM, which was a really great independent, we love independent radio stations here, don't we? She set up Crash FM in the 90s, I think it was about 96, which was, again, an alternative independent radio station, which then went into Juice FM, but really pioneering and had a big impact.
And wasn't she Keith Chegwin's sister?
I don't know.
We need to fact check that.
We need to check this
Yeah.
one.
Check that.
The
Sadly, both not with us.
Well, somebody should email in. That'd be a great
Yeah,
thing if somebody could tell us. That would be amazing.
She died recently.
She did, and I am pretty sure it was Keith Chegwin. She was Keith Chegwin's sister.
Okay, well,
Brilliant.
check that. And also, comedian and iconic radio DJ. I used to laugh at this guy when I was a kid. His comedy show, Kenny Everett from Sefton. He's from Southport, I think. And
Hands.
yeah, he wasn't,
Now I know who you
he
mean.
wasn't everyone's cup of tea, but his show, his comedy show I watched when I was a kid, it was like pretty far out.
His punk character was great. Sid Snot. What a great character.
I genuinely do really like that segment because I learn something new every week. Like one that you know who these people are, which
Sadly
is great.
taken too soon again. What an incredible comedian. Right? Really at the cutting edge. Not everybody's cup of tea, but I was of the generation. We grew up with Kenny Everett. He was just out of this world.
Wasn't he? Didn't he set up that woman who like crossed her legs?
Yes.
Was he impossible Brilliant. Right, true or false?
Too false.
Pressure's on because I am getting beat 8-5 and I'm not happy.
Come on, Lizzie.
First one, is this true or false? The Sefton Coast was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1994.
Is the truth or false bit around the year, or is it a site or no?
It is a site.
So we're wanting to know if the year is correct.
That is correct.
Well, I was hardly born at that point, so over to you.
What year was it again?
1994.
1994. Wow. We can't have silence on the radio.
No, you can't. You can't let
So
your cogs turn.
We just keep saying wow.
Keep talking.
Should we go with
3, 2, 1. True.
It's false. It was 2014. I remember when it happened.
You would.
Now this is an interesting one, and things might have changed, but true or false, Southport is the largest town in the UK without a Greg's Bakery.
That is true.
Is it not going to Greg's Bakery?
Oh wait, no. Do we have a Greg's Bakery?
Might have got one recently, times, you know.
Yeah. No. No, there's going to be one.
There's a Pound Bakery.
Recently, starting in the morning on to one of the little insurance shops, and I said to someone, where's the Greg's? And he went, here's one on the Pound Bakery there, and that's literally the only thing.
There's Waterfields as
Yeah.
well.
We
So
don't
it's-
have it. We don't have a Greg's.
Can I have an answer, please? True or false?
Is there one there? Aston?
No.
So it's true there isn't one there.
There
It's
isn't
the
one
largest
here.
No, but true.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yes!
Oh, that might have been one.
No. Do you know why I know this?
Go on.
Like, this is like a general factual information, because recently, I'm not going to name the bank, but there was, like, with the bank, you can save X amount of money and you'll get some perks. One of them was that you'll get a free drink or pastry or something from Greg's, weekly or monthly. Okay. And I was like, that's pointless because we don't have one. And then I believe there's been an article put out online now that because we've begged for one, we will be getting one. So I think Pest and Power definitely works.
The world.
Greg, if you're watching, get it
Send
sorted,
us some
mate.
freebies.
And last one, so I think that's 9-6 at present, is the name Sefton is thought to derive from Old Norse meaning farmstead in the rushes.
Wow, where are you dragged these questions from?
You know, sometimes it should just be a little bit more easy.
Old Norse, so that's like a Norwegian, a Viking kind of language, farmstead in the rushes.
Well, I know, hasn't the Wirral has got sort of a connection to Norse and naming, isn't it? So it's similar-ish geography.
Yeah.
If they were conquering over there, they might have just come over this side.
No.
Do you think we should say
Yeah, we'll
true?
go with, I mean, the first one was false, second one was true. True.
Correct, it's 10-6.
Yes, Lizzie.
I think Crosby, Formby, Kirby, the word Sefton and the Wirral are all Viking.
True, okay.
Okay.
Because the Vikings went all around the coast and populated, and now they're all mixed in, which is fascinating. But also, I think if you go into the Atkinson, I think I mentioned this one, the first human habitation was in Sefton about 8,000 years ago, down at Munster.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Wow.
In Churchtown, I don't know exactly how long the history is, and it's not like the oldest place, but it is mentioned in the Domesday book.
Yeah. Domesday book.
And if you want to have a look in the graveyard in Churchtown, there's a pirate that's buried. There's a skull and crossbones on one of the graves as you go in, which is always very cool.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Look, back to the Domesday book, that Liverpool isn't mentioned, is my understanding of the Domesday book. And I think Walton, which is North Liverpool, not a million miles from the Sefton border, Walton on the Hill is mentioned, and some of the sort of townships here, but Liverpool not.
No, it wasn't
interesting.
populated until quite
No, it
late
wasn't.
on.
I think it was
It's actually named in the Domesday book and it's older than...
Yeah, St Mary's. Yeah, there's
Notre Dame.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before the site that we know now.
And just to finish some interesting history about World War II, Bootle, which was the most heavily bombed part of the UK in World War II, is that Bedford Road School, there was a clock there that stopped when a bomb hit during the Blitz. The bomb was left in the clock was left in the basement. Someone found it. Bobby Brennan, who's my neighbour and former Sefton mayor, had the clock put in Bootle Town Hall. It's there, stopped at the minute when the bomb hit the school. And also, if you go down to the chamber, the Sefton Council Chambers down in Bootle, you've got the flags in the council chamber from Captain Walker, who was a famous anti-submarine member of the Royal Navy, and apparently his, I forget what they call it now, his group of ships were very good at finding submarines and destroying them. And also in the council chamber, the bells from the HMS Stalin that Captain Walker manned. I think they were the lead ships for at 2 different stages during the war, and the bells are there as well. So
Fantastic.
And someone, not just Bobby, my neighbour, who he's a good author as well, Bobby, but other people have had the presence of mind to preserve them.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Well, when they were dredging the dock where Everton's new stadium is on now, they found lots of unexploded bombs in that bit of lock. Lock? Yeah. In the dock bit there. And I think there was a lot of... He made it into quite a funny quip, the guy that was telling the story, that if you found them at low tide, the army would just have to come, which was only up the way. Whereas if you found them when they were in the water and the diver had gone down, you had to get the navy, which came from the bottom of the country, and that would then stop everything by 2 days, costing them more money. Okay. So they used to just wait for the tide to go down and bring the army in.
Wow, that's one way. But yeah, it's interesting just to think about how, you know, recent that is in memory.
Yeah.
People, they're no longer with us now, the people around from where
no.
But yeah, fantastic history all around Sefton, and the Atkinson's got some great history in there as well. Right, I think we'll call that a day, folks.
Yeah.
And I just want to say how much of a pleasure it's been to be in this space today.
It's been great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been really
lovely.
good. I think it's provided us with a new bit of energy. We're, you know, we've been quite buoyant. There's been a lot of laughs in here today. There's been a lot of blooper reels, that is for certain, and things that cannot see the light of day.
No.
But I've really enjoyed this morning.
And has it been
been
lovely
very
having
fun.
people peering in as well?
Yeah.
People going, what's going on in there?
Yeah.
You know, fantastic. So thanks Tim,
Yeah,
thanks
thanks,
Lizzie,
Tim.
and
Thank
thanks
you.
to the crew, Dan and our Carl.
Dan and Carl, and don't forget the email is radio@thebigonion.co.uk. Please get in touch if you want to come on and to contact.
Follow, subscribe.
Follow, subscribe. Please, right now, Spotify, YouTube, if you like and subscribe, it just helps us and it helps you get the information too. So look after yourselves, keep warm, don't get the warm spaces if you're feeling a bit chilly, and we'll see you next time. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.